When you listen to native English speakers, it sounds smooth, fast, and effortless. You understand perfectly, but when you try to speak, well, it's like you've got a mouthful of mashed potato. And in a work meeting, that moment costs you authority. So if you know what you want to say, but you can't get it out fast enough, let's fix it. Now, this isn't a problem with your level of English grammar or vocabulary. You can already think fast enough to follow what's happening. The bottleneck, that's the point where it's all getting stuck, is your mouth. Now, your native English speaking colleagues don't have this problem. They don't think any faster than you, but for them, the mouth, it's like automated. So we just need to automate you. And we do that by training top speed. Your mouth and tongue will get used to going fast. Imagine you're driving at 100 miles an hour on the motorway. When you pull off onto the normal roads and drop down to 30 miles an hour, it feels so slow. So we're going to practice going faster in training so that real life feels slow and controlled. And that's where clarity comes from. And the thing is, once you can speak fast, you stop worrying about speed and you can concentrate on performance. So learning to speak fast is valuable. Does that mean that you need to speak fast all the time? Well, like this guy.
Brady, the customer situation, you know, what you can't do whatever the cannabis just indicated about the presence of pool table in your community will get some of my friends are.
No, that's bloody preposterous. Even if you've got a Ferrari, you don't go driving around everywhere at top speed. But when you need it, you can accelerate. And that's what keeps things exciting in life. Same in your English speaking. Vary your speed. Slow down. Pause for effect. Then speed up to generate excitement. Here's how we build that speed. I'm going to show you how to measure your speed and how to train to get faster using this calculator, which you can download by clicking the link in the description. Here's how it works. We've got a reading passage and the English top speed test calculator. Now, you have to read the passage or time yourself reading the passage as fast as you can. And when I say as fast as you can, whilst maintaining clarity. And then you put the time into the calculator and it gives you your words per minute reading and a little speech mode so you know how you're getting on. Let me show you how it's done. Set our timer. Over the last 2 quarters, we've made solid progress, but we need to be honest about where execution is falling short. Revenue is stable, client retention is strong, and the pipeline looks healthy. However, delivery timelines are slipping and cross-functional communication isn't as tight as it needs to be. 50 seconds. I thought that was pretty quick. Only lost a bit of clarity there towards the end, I will admit. Let's put it into the calculator and see what it spits out. So we do 0 minutes and 50 seconds, 181 words per minute. That initial score is just to get our benchmark, to give us a starting point so we know where we're at, and then we can see the results of our training. And this is how we train it. When you're training, make sure you are speaking clearly. If you're rushing, then you lose clarity. It's like when I learn a new song on the guitar. If I just try and do it at full speed, it's all right, but it's not clean. And if I play it 10 times like that, well, congratulations, I've just trained slop. So if you practice messy, you automate messy. At first, go slow, find the difficult bits, isolate them. This is how you train the muscle memory. So what we're going to do now is go back through the text and just pick out any problematic words or phrases that we know are going to cause us difficulty when we try and bring it up to speed and maintain clarity. So over the last 2 quarters, we've made solid progress, but we need to be honest about where execution is still falling short. Like there, for example, where execution is still falling short. Let's just see what's going on in this section. So where execution, we've got a little R sound intruding into there where execution is still falling short. I'd say there's a temptation to pause here, but we definitely don't want to pause there for fluency or fluidity. We want to keep it rolling through there. That's going to link into each other where execution is still full. And this phrase is kind of staccato. It's like da, 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 and they're all unstressed words where execution is still falling short. The temptation here will be to really overemphasize execution where execution is still falling short. The whole phrase is building to that end of short where execution is still falling short, and that is sort of your stress of the sentence. Now, there's a lot going on in consonants-wise in execution, so practice that word, isolate it on its own. Execution, 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 and it's still falling short. There's probably a temptation as well to drop that G. I might have even dropped it myself during the example. You'll have to listen back and tell me if I did. But when we're aiming for clarity, we don't need to emphasize it, but it definitely needs to be there. So falling short, falling short. Now, to practice this, do what I call back chaining and start at the end and then gradually add sections on as you go backwards. So start with falling short and you drill that, falling short, falling short, falling short. Then add your next section, still falling short, still falling short, still falling short. Execution is still falling short. Here, how every time we're building to that emphasize short, that's the emphasis of the sentence where execution is still falling short. And that is how I would practice that in isolation, so that when you come to it, when you're at top speed, next time you're testing yourself with the calculator, the muscle memory's built and that just flows. Okay, let's keep going. We're going to read from here. Revenue is stable, client retention is strong, and the pipeline looks healthy. However, delivery timelines are slipping and cross-functional communication isn't as tight as it needs to be. That whole cross-functional communication, especially that cross-functional communication, but the whole thing isn't as tight as it isn't as tight as it needs to be. That's worth practicing. Let's take a look at this cross-functional communication. What's going on here? Let's say you've got a few consonants in English are always hard work. They're called consonant clusters, and they're just really difficult to get your mouth around, depending what your native language is. Other languages don't tend to pack the consonants in like English, so you get that transition between the S and the F, cross-functional. You've got to get your mouth around that. But again, the stress of this phrase, I think, is where the real problems will come. Saying it fast's one thing, but saying it fast with the correct stress is another thing, because you've got big words like communication with 5 syllables. Which one's stress? Communication, that one. So practice that with the correct word stress, communication. And that stress syllable is actually the emphasis of the whole phrase. I drill that with the whole thing. Cross-functional communication isn't as tight as it needs to be. Isn't as tight as it needs to be. Again, back chain it. As tight as it needs to be. Isn't as tight as it needs to be. Communication isn't as tight as it needs to be. Cross-functional communication isn't as tight as it needs to be. Proper mouthful. Let's go from here. If we want sustainable growth, we can't just focus on bringing in new business. That's going to be really soft, but it's definitely there. We don't want to miss the G off, bringing in new business. We have to improve operational consistency. That means clarifying ownership, reducing unnecessary approvals, and look at that mouthful. Let's go. Let's take a closer look at this little section here, reducing unnecessary approvals. It's got to flow, so you don't want to be having breaks after reducing an unnecessary. So reducing unnecessary, it's going to link straight into unnecessary. Reducing unnecessary approvals. Reducing unnecessary, 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 approvals, approvals, approvals. When I do that big dot, that's where the stress is on the word. That creates that pattern and that rhythm that makes that little phrase sound natural. So look at them again individually. It starts at approvals, then add unnecessary approvals. You might need to practice unnecessary on its own. Unnecessary approvals, reducing unnecessary approvals. Drill it round a couple of times until your mouth gets used to it. I'm doing it a couple of times. For you, it might be 10, might be 20 times, again and again and again, until it just flows. Let's go from here. Right now, too many decisions are being revisited because expectations weren't aligned from the start. That's another mouthful, because expectations weren't aligned from the start, because from there weren't aligned from the start. They're weak forms, so these like a little from the expectations weren't aligned. That's going to link into that. Expectations weren't aligned from the start. Let's go next one. We're here. So over the next 90 days, our priority isn't expansion, it's discipline. Fewer initiatives, clearer accountability, and faster follow through. Yeah, faster follow through. Clearer accountability and faster follow through. From here, clearer accountability. There, that's tricky. And let's go to there. So clearer accountability. That A becomes a very soft kind of schwa sound. Clearer accountability. Clearer accountability. There's a lot of syllables in accountability, stress in there, accountability, clearer accountability. That sound at the end of faster is going to be again faster follow through. As you repeat those difficult sections, you're training the muscle memory of English sounds. So drill it, then retake the calculator to see how much faster you got. Now, look, this exercise works because it isolates the speaking motor skill and it'll boost your clarity like 100%. Here's the thing though, clarity and speed alone don't give you authority. Authority starts before you speak. And if you want to learn how to control that moment, then watch this video next.